Welcome back, everyone, to the Librarium of Ludus Infinium, where you can find RPG and RTS playthroughs, and many more playthroughs in between. And for fans or those new to 40k, I also do 40k lore. Let's see what adventure we have for you today during this Warhammer Weekend. After talking with Loken more, Mercedes Olliton had an issue with the stories he would regale her with. Even though they were fascinating and full of wonder, they lacked Loken's personal feelings towards them. He did not express awe or fear, and she felt this would make him hard to relate in her remembrances to her audience, and wanted a way to make him relatable. So she asked him, if you've never known fear, have you ever felt awe? His response to this was actually kind of a funny one. Yes. What? What caused you to feel awe? Big hats. Big hats. Because, of course, Astartes are really strange creatures when you think about it. And one thing that brought him awe was big hats. And from the description in the book, we're talking like cartoon sombrero levels, like huge hats. He told her about a carnival that had him and Horus Lupercal laughing at the amazing feat of hats that people wore at a parade to celebrate their compliance, because it almost seemed like a feat of strength and dexterity at the same time, that they were able not only to get them on their head, but to keep them balanced. Another instance, and this one I find truly awesome and fascinating, but there's very little in the lore on this instance, and this is kind of upsetting, because what little there is so cool. He brings up a battle with the Kalakid, which are a reptilian Xenos race, and they abhorred fighting in any means. So whenever they would have fighting, it would be regulated, and they did it in these big arenas. Think oversized football fields, and that's pretty much what you had. So, because they didn't really know this about the Kalakid, the Luna Wolves butchered them. And at one point, he mentioned, oh, after we found this out, we still butchered them, even though it might have been the honorable way to fight them on their terms. They had chosen not to fight on the Luna Wolves' terms, so it went both ways. And it was really cool in the fact that they had these restrictions, really, on warfare, and at the same time, that ended up being a big part of their downfall when they went to war with Legionis Astartes. And then he mentions an event that brings him sadness. A machine race called the Overseers. They were, for lack of a better word, and this is actually exactly what they were an artificial intelligence race. Think Geth from Mass Effect, but they didn't rebel. And all they were doing was they were living in these decrepit cities, and they were just trying to keep them running. These were the cities they were built in, and they were just trying to keep them functional. And when the Astartes came, they didn't recognize them as human, because the Astartes don't look like normal humans. I mean, they look humanoid. They are big ass humans, but they aren't human. A normal human is 6 feet. I believe Loken is somewhere around 8, if I remember right. And he's shorter than Abaddon and Tarek Torgaten. So this will give you an idea that he might be average size for an Astarte at 8 feet, but there are others that are way bigger as well. A Primarch is even bigger. Terminator armor makes them bigger. And there's a lot of a lot of things that go into this. So he felt it was kind of bad. He felt really bad and was full of sorrow because all they were trying to do was just keep their old homes running. But because not only were they AI, but they didn't recognize the Astartes as human, they picked a losing fight with the Astartes and were eventually wiped out. And this is another one where I wish there was a lot more in the lore than there really is. What is there is amazing, but at the same time it's really sad if you think about it, because all they were trying to do is just keep their homes running. The humans they had known had already passed away and had been wiped out, and it was their home. They couldn't go anywhere else, and so that's where they lived. And now I'm going to digress a little bit, because this is something I really love about 30K. In 40K, Astartes are Astartes. They're the cold, calculating, superhuman, super soldier of any sci-fi universe there is. They're cold, they're calculating, and they are unfeeling. In 30K, that's just not the case. You see Loken go through sorrow. You see him go through awe. You see him, in a few minutes, go through fear. You see a human aspect to the Astartes that you just don't see in 40K. At least, not in my experience. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't delved as much into 40K as I have into 30K. 30K is my absolute favorite part of Warhammer 40,000. But a lot of the heroic acts and the humanized characters tend to be the humans. Or sometimes the Eldar, because fucking space elves, I guess. I don't know. But a good example of something that I really like, and there is a way to justify this in 40K, I just don't like it, but I accept it. If you take the Mournival from the Lunar Wolves, you have Ezekiel Abaddon, Horus Aximand, Garviel Logan, and Tarek Torgadon. All four of them have different personalities, and they're all from the same legion. Now, let's take the Blood Angels, for example, because I have an example ready to go. You have the Blood Angels, and you have the Flesh Terrors. These are two completely different fighting forces. You have the Imperial Fists, and you have the Black Templar. Much different mentalities. And they come from the same parent legion, but they're completely different in 40K. There are similarities, but they're more different than similar. The only thing that's really similar is that they come from the same parent legion. I mean, the Flesh Tears and Blood Angels both specialize in quick, deep strike assaults and melee combat, and the Imperial Fist and Black Templar, well, they specialize in melee combat, and that's really all I can kind of say. Well, no, that's actually not true, because the Imperial Fist specializes in siege warfare. The Black Templar specialize in melee combat and pissing everyone off. I love it. I'm trying to think of who it was. The Death Corps of Krieg. Arch Warhammer, in his Death Corps of Krieg video, made the statement that everything about the Death Corps of Krieg was designed to piss off other Imperial Guard regiments. It's like the Black Templar to the Astartes. There's nothing that has been designed on them that doesn't piss everyone off. They So, in most situations, you would have ammunition reserves or equipment reserves. You wouldn't send everything in at the same time. Don't tell the Black Templars that, because they do. That they don't believe in that. They believe, what? We have a tool that we aren't using right now? Bring it up here. But it's not ours. Fuck it, bring it up here. And I mean, the Imperial Fists have managed to rub people the wrong way in the past as well, but not on the level as the Black Templars. Back to back to my original point. That was a little bit of a big digression, but you don't really see that as much. I mean, you see it every once in a while. One that I kind of liked was, it was actually a Black Templar. Was a I forgot what his rank was. He's kind of like the head chaplain almost, and and just to let you know how fucking insane he is, and the power of belief in 40k, he yelled at a dead woman until she came back to life. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. He is rage incarnate, and he is amazing. He is so close to falling to corn that if he ever did, it would be so bad for the Imperium, but he never will, because he is that big of an Emperor follower. And oh my god, it is so funny. But anyway, so that being said, now that we've had our nice big digression and one of my favorite 40k moments, we're going to return to 6319. And Garviel Loken witnessed Savior Jubal murder 3 Astartes, including one of his captains, right in front of him. The captain, he put a bolt round through his face. In fact, we mentioned that last video. The other two, he put a bolt round through their hearts, and if they weren't dead, they were going to be. And he has a little inner monologue for a quick second, that if he ever could feel fear, this was it. And I'm pretty sure that this was it. But realistically, for Loken and other stars, this was a moment of sheer unbridled lunacy. This shouldn't happen. This can't happen. It was unheard of for Astartes to fight other Astartes, much less kill them. It was programmed out of them. It was a complete impossibility at that time, and Jabal just did it. And actually, what's even more beautiful than that is that Loken notes how Jabal was a master of axes and daggers. He doesn't need them and didn't use them, because after his bolt gun got stripped away, to let you know how powerful he became, not only did he manage to throw 2 Astartes off of him who were trying to pin him down at the same time, fully armored Astartes, I would also like to mention, because they are heavy little shits. He did a strike with his outstretched hand, with his fingertips out, and in a moment of just insanity, pierced an Astartes neck guard, and pierced the Astartes neck and throat. And when he pulled back out, killed him. Well, fatally wounded him. He wasn't dead. He was just bleeding out from, having half of his neck ripped out. He was going to be dead. So, him and Loken have this big melee. And at the end of it, they really do just trade blows for a few minutes, and it's not that I'm trying to downplay it. It's just I'm not going to completely parrot the book on this. They just get in a really good melee and trade blows, and at the end of it, Jubal pierces through Loken's shoulder guard, which is, I believe, if not the thickest, one of the thickest parts of Astartes armor, because he got the armor and then the shoulder guard on top of it. And he ends up getting his sword stuck in there, and seeing this moment, Loken pierces his chest and kills Jubal. And Jubal starts sliding down towards the crevasse. And Loken stops him and asks the other Astartes to help him, which they basically tell him in the nicest way possible, fuck no. You want us to help him? Nah, we're good. So Loken ends up pulling himself and Jubal back up onto the cliff edge, and then tells the Space Marines who didn't help him, go get Neurovipus now. And so they did. And next we see Cinderman and some of the Remembrancers walking around, seeing the what's the word I'm looking for here? Carnage that the Astartes have wrought. And there's a poet. Well, it's the original group from the Embarkation deck with Euphrates Keela. I believe it was one documentarist, 2 poem writers. I believe he's either a painter or an artist or something. I don't know. But needless to say, there was like 5 to 7 of them. So they're talking, figure out, who Samus is, all this wonderful stuff. And out comes Vipus, running out of the tunnels. And says, Cinderman. Oh, there you are, Cinderman. Hey, come here. Follow me. And he brings Cinderman to Loken. Now, we take a real quick look back at the Remembrancers, where Euphrates Keela and 2 of the others get the bright idea to follow them into the tunnels. Because nothing ever bad will happen to them. Ever. No. Nothing bad ever happens to curious people. So they follow them in. Back to Loken. So Vipus and Cinderman get back to Loken. Loken has all the other Luna Wolves leave and tells Nero to stay close. And then tells Cinderman, and Cinderman's like, wait a minute, he's dead. You did that? You did that. Why are there so many Astartes? The Astartes aren't supposed to die like this. Like, you see this one here with my sword in him? He did it. And Cinderman's like, okay, wait, what? I'm sorry, what? He's literally struck with confusion and disbelief. Because he killed his own squad, plus 6 more from 6 squad, and fatally wounded another, which was probably going to die. And he tells Cinderman that he believes he was possessed by a spirit. And Cinderman tells him that, nah, that's just superstition. You're reaching for old words that don't exist in our universe anymore. That's not what this was. And he's like, well, his face looks gaunt, and he's got poxed. His face is pocked. So maybe it's a plague or disease or something. But wait a minute, aren't Astartes supposed to be immune to disease? I hear you and Loken asking. He's like, maybe it was a flaw in his gene seed or something. Like, he's trying to rationalize it as being a sickness that affected his mind, rather than it being a spirit. And this is where we were in 30K. They didn't know about chaos in the warp. So they believed that spirits and demons were not a thing, that the warp, that chaos, or what we now know about chaos, wasn't a thing. The chaos gods weren't real. So he did everything to rationalize it. So then after Loken kind of starts like, maybe, Cinderman's like, okay, now you need to quarantine the body and the area off. And when he looks back down at Jubal, for that extra level of creepy, Jubal looks up at him, raises his head. Oh, by the way, I mentioned that Loki killed him, right? So Jabal's corpse looks up at Cinderman, raises his head, says, "Look out," in a very creepy way, because dead. Very dead. Um, so, sorry, that just makes me laugh a little bit, because it's kind of like, oh, you had to try and believe it wasn't possession. How about now, bitch? Anyway, so after probably making Cinderman piss all over himself, Jabal stood up and continued to say, "Look out." And then he started to change, like the good little boy he is. He wanted to change it to his pajamas. That's not true at all. So I also want to point something else out. His armor was taking, like, small arms fire, and it was doing nothing to him. It split off of him. This was taking gunfire, and just like, you know what? Fuck this. Pop! And split in half. And his hands turned into claws, and his fingernails into talons, and he ended up getting a canine-like visage. Because of course. And again, even though they don't say this in the book, I'm pretty sure at this point, Cinderman pissed himself. Vipus, hearing Jabal roar, because he also did that as he was getting up from his little nappy poo, comes in and puts a bolt round into Jabal, who's... By the way, let's go back to bolt rounds for a second, because this is a little important. 20mm anti-aircraft rounds is about the real-world equivalent of a bolt round. And even then, that's not right. Think of an anti-aircraft round that explodes on impact. Not like, an anti-aircraft round, which is just basically a big fucking bullet. But no, one that is like mixing an artillery round... mixing a grenade and an anti-aircraft round, because words are not that hard. He took one of those, and it did not faze him. In fact, he backhanded Cinderman towards Vipus, and Vipus dropped his bolt gun and caught Cinderman to try and cushion him from getting seriously hurt. And Jabal charged off past them. Because of course he did. Remember our 3 wonderful little remembrancers who nothing bad could happen to, because curious people never have anything bad happen to them? Something bad was about to happen. One of them stood in front of the monster, did the sign of the Aquila, and told it to be gone. He got his head bit off. By the way, I'm going to say that again because that's vaguely important. He got his head bit off. Remember how I said Jabal was changing? He still was. He was getting bigger. He was getting a big boy. The other one had pissed himself and fell over in said piss and got killed too. So the only one still alive was Euphrates, who fell to her knees and was waiting for her fate. Whatever it would be, she assumed death at that point. But she won't know, and neither will we, until the next part. I hope you all enjoyed this part, and I hope y'all aren't too pissy about me doing a cliffhanger. But that's where this part ends, and the next part is very eye-opening to what happens behind the scenes as far as quote-unquote spirits and the warp and stuff like that, because some people do know what it is. Some people don't. Some people think they know what it is, and it shows. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this, and oof, I hope you're looking forward to the next one, because it's going to be a good one. Thank you all for watching the video. In the top left-hand corner, I will leave you with my most recent upload. In the bottom left-hand corner, I will leave you with a playlist that I hope you will enjoy. And right above my head here, I will leave you with the subscribe button. So if you like the content and want to see more, you can subscribe. Or if you want to see any more of my RPG or RTS content, or my 40k lore videos, please subscribe. Check out one of my videos and playlists. And down in the description down here somewhere, I don't know where, I will leave a link to my Discord and my Twitter, so if you have any ideas on ways I can improve, or if you want to just join the community, throw suggestions when you can, or suggest other games. Shoot, I'm always willing to take criticism on how to improve and things I can do better for you, the viewers. That being said, I hope you all have a very wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!